All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson and what Shakur Stevenson had to say about he and Devin Haney in an interview that happened with Brian Custer. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 130 and 135 pound weight divisions. We have Shakur Stevenson, who gave an interview to Brian Custer and had some very interesting things to say about a fight between himself and Gervonta Davis, and also a fight between himself and the undisputed champion at 135 pounds, Devin the Dream Haney. But before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter on this boxing forum. And if you are new to this channel or boxing forum, welcome to the channel. Please accept my invitation to join the community by hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell icon so you can continually be notified of when we have our conversations, which we do pretty much every day in a video format and in a live stream format. Live stream formats usually happens early in the morning, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys check that out. Like I said, this is a very, very interactive boxing community, boxing forum to talk about all kind of different issues that are going on in boxing. And the one that we're going to talk about now is amongst three of the best fighters in the world. Usually, I would say three of the best young fighters in the world, but I don't think there's really any need for that at this point in time. All three of these guys are in the absolute upper echelon of boxing talent in the world. And that I'm talking about Shakur Stevenson, who is the former WBO 126-pound champion, current unified 130-pound champion, holds the WBC and the WBO belts. And interestingly enough, we're talking about Shakur Stevens, who also is a three-time champion at 130 pounds that has held the WBA super belt and the IBF belt, the two belts that, by the way, Shakur Stevenson do not hold. And how great would that have been if Gervonta Davis could still be at that weight class at 130, holding the two belts that he hold, and Shakur Stevenson holding the belts that he currently now has, because that would have been the undisputed championship at 130 pounds, right? So, and then of course there's Devin Haney, who's the undisputed champion at 140. Now, Shakur Stevenson gave an interview to Brian Custer on the Last Stand podcast. Shout out to my noob, Brian Custer. If y'all didn't know, every time you see him with those red shirts on and them diamonds with the K's in it and all that good old stuff, that's his fraternity, which I'm a member as well. So I always like to give, a big shout out to Brian Custer, my fellow bald-headed guy. Anyway, so he asked a bunch of questions of Shakur Stevenson, and he asked them about the fight with Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson, and Devin Haney. And what he said I thought was very, very interesting, and I'm going to sum it up. Now, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, if that's what people refer to this as. I am going to since I do not have a tape recording of what he said, and I'm not in the business of taking other people's material off their YouTube channel and putting it on mine. Other people do that. That's their choice. I just do not do that. Unless it's a YouTube short or something like that, which we've been doing recently. So I'm going to have to just sum up what he said, which was essentially this. In the fight with Gervonta Davis, first of all, Shakur said that he thinks he can beat anybody and everybody in boxing. You say, if you ask him about fighting anybody, Shakur Stevenson, is going to say that he believes he's going to win because he's that confident in his ability. And quite honestly, I have to add, and me adding to that, I would say also because anyone within the weight range of him, he very well may beat them. I don't see anybody that just stands out heads and shoulders above Shakur Stevenson, where Shakur Stevenson does not have an opportunity to win a fight against them. And that, whether that is Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, definitely anybody at 140, definitely anybody at 130 pounds, Ryan Garcia, Vasily Lomachenko. I think it's all within reach for Shakur Stevenson because he's that excellent a fighter. But he was asked in a very, very well-placed question by Brian Customer, how does the fight play out? Like, how do you see the fight going down? And he pointed out the fact that Gervonta Davis, he thinks, is going to have to try to get on the inside of him, and he's not going to be able to do that, right? He said, look, Gervonta Davis has done a good job. He's done a good job knocking out guys that are not supposed to be in the ring with him, right? And then when he talked about Devin Haney, he said, hat goes off to him, for beating George Kambosos and becoming the undisputed champion, right? And I mean, I just got to put a little bit of a pause in that because, when he said it, my initial thought was, hold on, man. I don't think any of you guys have been in the ring with guys that belong in the ring with you. Pretty much everybody Devin Haney fought to date, none of those guys belonged in the ring with him. Gervonta Davis fought guys that didn't belong in the ring with him, but he knocked those guys out. So how do you compare somebody that gets into the ring with somebody that doesn't belong in the ring with them and they go to distance, and somebody that gets in the ring with somebody that doesn't belong with them and the guy that doesn't belong in the ring with you goes the distance, right? So I just, that way that he phrased that to me was like, I can see that you and Devin Haney are a little bit of friends. And he keeps repeating that they're friends, how they root for each other, they know each other, right? But I don't really think that that's the case with him and Gervonta. Regardless, when he talked about Gervonta, he said, look, man, pretty much he's going to be too small or not long enough, and he's going to have to deal with my height. He's going to have to deal with my reach. And he's basically somebody that has struggled with fighters or allowed fighters to stay with him until they get a knockout. But then he definitely, complimented Tank and saying, yeah, but I do like the way that he set Rolly up. I do like how he set Rolly Ramirez up and basically baited him. So, and he made a little statement in there. I wasn't quite sure if he said that he really doesn't watch a lot of Tank and that he watches Tank in the highlights. Versus watching the full fight. A lot of boxers really do that. Don't watch full fights of other fighters because, they're in the gym all day. They get out of the gym, they go home, right? And are they going to be watching their contemporaries all the time? Not always. But anyway, thought that was interesting. Shakur Stevenson said that, but he didn't think. But then at the same time, when he talked about Devin Haney, he said it would be the opposite, where Devin has the height, Devin has the reach, and then Shakur would have to find a way to get on the inside of him. But Shakur trusts his skills and trusts his ability to be able to find a way to do that. So it was just really, really interesting, man. And again, I don't think Shakur Stevenson disrespected anybody or anything like that. Just really believes in his confidence. I would say, though, that, I think brushing off somebody being able to concuss you at any point in time, I wouldn't write that off so quickly. That dude drops bombs, and more than likely, Shakur Stevenson, if he tastes one of those, is going to really get a big wake-up call because this dude literally is laying cats unconscious, and nobody else is really doing it at either one of those weight classes, either 135 or 130, or anybody really laying people out like Tank. And that's something he should probably not underestimate, and just kind of, because I know he said that he sparred before. However, what Gervonta Davis's camp said to that, and said specifically that about Devin Haney, look, you in there you're in with them big 14, 16, 12, 14, 16 ounce gloves. That's not the same thing as being in there with no headgear and 8 ounce gloves, because those punches are coming a lot different than what you may think that they're coming with, right? So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting conversation. Definitely go check it out on Brian Custer's channel, The Last Stand podcast with Brian Custer. Excellent interview. Anyway, with that, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.